Hey everyone, this is Nitro. So, with the update on May 23rd, Freya now has her Gate of Fate as well as her second tier 3 class, which is the Valkyrie class, which is right here. So I thought I would do a video on how to build Freya, the Princess of Iron, and the Lancer of Thorns. Now, I should mention as well, she is still missing her Heart Bond. So this means she doesn't get her maximum stats just yet. Because essentially, right, the Heart Bond will be adding a lot of defense, magic defense, and hit points. So without that, well, frankly, she's just missing quite a bit of stats. So you should be aware of that. And overall, my opinion of Freya is I recommend building her up because her fixed damage counterattacks via thorns and barbs and her skills is very, very useful in Timeless Trial because there's a lot of maps which, reduce the damage dealt to enemies when you're attacking them. That would be the Time Law. But with fixed damage, it just goes through and does damage to the enemies. So she does have utility even for Timeless Trial. Thus, I recommend building her up. However, I still don't consider her an absolute top tier tank, so I can't recommend using Runestones on her to get the double class mastery if we're talking about, playing efficiently. Nonetheless, if you want to build her up, I will talk about her regular build as well as her double class mastery build in this video. If you want the reasoning why I don't recommend her, I'll put it in the video description so you can read about it why I don't recommend her in there. Okay, so with that said, let's begin. So, if you have a usual Freya, which is how I have built her up as well, you will be doing a pure tank build, which is High Lord to Vanguard to Royal Vanguard. Okay? And as a quick note, you can see my Freya only has 2 out of 4 class mastery, so she's not been fully mastered, but she's been performing brilliant for me when I need to rely on her. You can see me using her even for, let's say, the level 60 event that's occurring right now, which is the Swimsuit Summer Festival. So I have a few videos of me using Freya in those fights there, like doing the dailies, as well as doing the challenge missions up to the level 61. Okay, so yeah, even at 2 out of 4 class mastery, Freya has been performing admirably. So, so let's get into her skill set then. Now, her skill set changes depending on whether you're playing an Origins of Light team or a Princess Alliance team. If you're playing Princess Alliance, your faction buffer will be Luna. So in that case, you're going to run Lance Phalanx, the guard skill. You're going to run Barbs for extra fixed damage strike. And then you're going to run Heavy Shield for the chance of reducing melee attack damage by 50%. Okay? So running this setup, you will have her talent do fixed damage to the enemy before the battle begins. So there's the first fixed damage. Your Lance Phalanx after the battle will do fixed damage. There's the second fixed damage. And then Barbs after the battle will also do fixed damage. So there's 3 fixed damage hits. Okay? Ideally, for equipment, you would be able to give your Freya mirror armor, because that adds yet another fixed damage that's dependent on your hero's defense. So that would be a 4th fixed damage strike. So that would be the standard Freya. If you don't have mirror armor like me, or your mirror armor is not level 50, well, you just basically grab your tank's set of gear and then just move it to your Freya. So, and that would be a good set of equipment, For Freya, you just want to increase defense. So again, Gaia's armor would be great. It would work as an alternative to mirror armor. Your helmet, to be honest, doesn't matter. Even at level 50, Aeneas' helmet is fine. There are better options, but you get Aeneas' helmet early, so it's a solid choice, increasing hit points and defense. And then the third item King's Amulet would be great because as long as an ally is within 2 blocks, it gets an additional 10% defense and magic defense. And then for enchants, I would say definitely do Hard Rock with all your enchants giving plus defense. Okay? So weapon-wise, doesn't really matter. You can see I have a level 30 Throne Guardian. If it's level 50 Throne Guardian, that's fine too. You just don't want Devil Axe or Ragnarok because those apply fixed damage when attacking. So the effect, since you generally won't be attacking, you don't really want a weapon that applies fixed damage when you attack. But yeah, in terms of weapon, it's honestly kind of up to you. Use whatever one you want, okay? So that would be Freya's equipment set. So I'm just going to give my equipment back to my Ledin because I'm not using Freya right now. In terms of soldiers, just like any other Lancer, you would use a Lancer soldier, and Freya actually has access to Phalanx, which is one of the best Lancer units because it decreases physical damage taken by a certain percentage. Okay. You could use Heavy Centurion, but it's another character to level up, and that's why I don't really recommend it. Maybe at the absolute endgame stages when you have resources to level up and have a level 10 Phalanx as well as a level 10 Heavy Centurion. But if you're aiming for efficiency, like me, you would just choose to level up one soldier in the Lancer branch, and that would be Phalanx. So that way you can save your resources and not have to level up Heavy Centurion as well. Alright, so there's her soldiers, and next I'll talk quickly about Freya's bonds. So, like any other tank, Freya's bonds just increase hit points and defense on their soldiers, right? So this means, effectively, her soldiers, when at max level, get 40% hit point increase and 40% defense increase, and then 10% attack, 10% magic defense. So she won't hit very hard, but she is very, very tanky, which is what a tank is meant to do. And in addition, you know, her damage comes much more from her fixed damage skills than from her combat ability anyways. So it is what it is. It's not a big deal. It's good that she increases defense and hit points. Alright, so that is the build for Freya, right? You just run these 3 skills, and if you're playing Origins, remove Heavy Shield for Power of Hope, the faction buff. Otherwise, keep Heavy Shield. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that is Freya if she was in her Royal Vanguard class, which is what I really recommend if you're not going to use Runestones. You can also go from High Lord to Saintess to Valkyrie, right? And in that case, your guard skill will be Iron Rose, which guards against magic attacks rather than melee attacks. Okay, so normally it just has a 1 guard range for magic attacks, 1 block, but if you activate it, it increases the guard range to 2 blocks. And in addition, it decreases the magic damage that she will take, and it will also apply the effect Iron Rose, where her defense is replaced with 80% of her magic defense stat. Okay, and she will deal fixed damage equal to the enemy, equivalent to 250% of the magic defense value when battle ends. So it's basically a barb skill that does, magic that is based on her magic defense value. Okay, so that means you have to pump up her magic defense because it replaces her defense stat and everything like that, right? So in that sense, right, with her with her defense stat replaced, she would do the magic defense barb, the Sorrowful Choice barb, which is based on defense, which would be 80% of her magic defense value, and then for her other skills, you would run barb for another fixed damage hit, and the final skill would be protect, so that she can tank melee hits within 1 block of her. So it's kind of awkward in that sense. Again, your skills would be Iron Rose, Barb, and Protect. Okay? So you would, in this case, the Valkyrie Freya would have 2 magic guard range and 1 melee guard range. Okay? I'll be blunt, I really don't like this Freya build because Iron Rose would be, it has a 2-turn cooldown and it lasts 2 turns, right? So let's say you activate on turn 1, right? You would have you have Iron Rose for turn 1 and turn 2, and then turn 3, Iron Rose would be down, and your defense stat would be very, very low as a result, right? So yeah, that's what I don't like about building Valkyrie class Freya. In terms of equipment, it's actually surprisingly simple. Whatever equipment you have on your Bozal, right? Because your Bozal would have high magic defense values, give it to Freya. So Galaxy Cloak, you would throw over to Freya, and it would have a plus magic defense enchant, right? Dark Crown, same thing, plus magic defense enchant. Speed Boots, right? Plus hit points, plus magic defense enchant. And then the only thing that you would change is you would not want a Miracle Staff, obviously. And instead of Miracle Staff, I would recommend giving your giving your Freya the weapon I have on my Liana, which is Blue Moon. Because Blue Moon increases intelligence and magic defense, right? And Valkyrie class characters, such as Chris or Freya in this case, their attack is based on their intelligence. It's not based on their attack. So Blue Moon would be the best choice. Quick note, Ledin's has an Oath of Justice, which theoretically it increases magic defense by 8% as opposed to 5% of the Blue Moon. But the problem is it increases attack rather than int. So that's why Oath of Justice should not be used. So there you go. That would be the gear for a Valkyrie Freya, and she would be honestly a pretty odd tank, right? Where she can tank 1 guard range with Protect and tank 2 guard range with Iron Rose when Iron Rose is up. So that would be the Valkyrie Freya. Now, if you build Freya for double class mastery, so that you have both Valkyrie and Royal Vanguard, okay? In this build, your skill choice would be, you would never run faction buff, okay? You would be running Lance Phalanx, Iron Rose, and then Barb for the 3rd skill. So, basically, Lance Phalanx would add 1 fixed damage, Barb would be a 2nd fixed damage, Iron Rose would be a 3rd fixed damage, and then Sorrowful Choice would be the 4th fixed damage, okay? If you have Mirror Armor, you can have a 5th fixed damage strike. So that would be how Freya would be run in this case. Is there a disadvantage? Yeah, of course. First, of course, you can't have the faction buff. Second is that this is a very, very odd part. It's that her guard range will constantly be very, very odd in that it keeps changing. Okay? For example, on turn 1, you activate Iron Rose, right? So you have 2 magic guard range and then 1 melee guard range. On turn 2, you activate Lance Phalanx. And then that's the best turn where you have 2 magic and melee guard range, right? But then turn 3, Iron Rose's cooldown wears off. Iron Rose's effect wears off, right? And Iron Rose will be on cooldown. So on turn 3, you will only have Lance Phalanx available. And that means you have 2 melee guard range and then 1 magic guard range, right? And you'll also have a very low defense stat at that time because your enchants will be increasing magic defense. And Iron Rose being inactive means you're relying on your base defense value rather than your 80% of your magic defense value. So, basically using Freya this way, her guard ranges are constantly changing, which makes it very, very odd to use. Now, I'll say this. You can sort of cover for this. If you, let's say, use both Sophia for her rewind and then Liana for her again, whenever Iron Rose is down, right, you can either rewind and then have Sophia... Yeah, you can either have Sophia rewind so that you can reactivate Iron Rose, or you can have Liana use again, and then, Freya will be able to activate Iron Rose after she's been agained. The drawback of that, of course, is that Lance Phalanx will go down, right? So, yeah, using both Freya, using Sophia and Liana can allow you to keep your guard up almost permanently, or at least Iron Rose up permanently for the fight, but it's just a little bit awkward. And in all honesty, my opinion is using Freya this way is just more effort than it's worth. So, alright, so those are, I guess, pretty much the 3 build variants of Freya. And again, equipment would be Bozal equipment set or your regular tank equipment set, depending on which skills you run and what classes are available for her. So, yeah, that's everything I wanted to say about Freya. I hope you found this video useful and informative, and on that note, Nitro out.